Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my horror corner. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. I do appreciate you tuning in today. A little bonus episode today, not one that I had really planned on doing, but I want to cover more new movies when I get a chance to get out of the theater and watch something. I want to get a chance to come on and talk about it. And so this weekend, I got to go watch Black Phone 2. So I wanted to come on and share my thoughts with you on this. No, the movie's only been out for a couple of days, but this will have spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film yet, you might want to pause this and or stop this, wait, watch the movie, go see it. We really need to support, horror movies in theaters as much as we can. So go watch the movie, then come back and then watch my episode. But yeah, let's talk about the Black Phone 2. Now, I've done an episode previously on the first film. I like the first film. I think I rated it an 8 out of 10. I was a really big fan. I don't remember. It could have been a 7, but I think I said 8 out of 10. Um, but yeah, I was a fan. And I did not know when I heard about this sequel coming out, I wasn't sure exactly what I expected. I wasn't even sure what I wanted because I thought the first film wrapped up in a really good way. And so, I wasn't sure. Not every movie needs a sequel. Now, I'm a franchise guy. I like sequels, so I'm not saying that, I mean, if you know me, you know that already. But I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if we really needed a sequel to this or not. But at the same time, I enjoyed the first one so much. I was excited about it. So I was really curious as to what they were going to bring us. But I did have some concerns going in as well. One of my favorite things I remember, and if you've listened to my previous episode on the first Black Phone movie, it was I was really impressed with the performances. Primarily, I mean, everybody did a great job, but the actress who plays Gwen, Madeline McGraw, I was really impressed with her performance as a child actress. I really thought she was amazing in that first film. And I'm just going to say right off the bat, I'll get into it more in a moment, but right off the bat, still very impressed with her. She's an incredible young actress. I really like her performance in this film again. So that was definitely a plus. Put my glasses on so I can see. I apologize for the glare, but let's go ahead and get into this quickly. Tagline for the film: Dead is just a word. Brief synopsis for the movie: 4 years after escaping the grabber, Finney Blake is struggling with his life after captivity. When his sister Gwen begins receiving calls in her dreams from the Black Phone and seeing disturbing visions of three boys being stalked at a winter camp, the siblings become determined to solve the mystery and confront a killer who has grown more powerful in death and more significant to them than either could imagine. The film released October 17th, 2025, just a couple of days ago, directed by Scott Derrickson, written by Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill, produced by Jason Blum, Scott Derrickson, and C. Robert Cargill, cinematography by Par M. Ekberg, edited by Louise Ford, music by Atticus Derrickson, distributed by Universal Pictures, a runtime of 114 minutes. Budget $30 million. So far at the box office has made $42 million. Scores 74% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, 85% from the audience, and right now sitting at a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Let's stop for just a moment and talk about story, cinematography, and score. Um, Score's fine. I don't think there was anything that really just jumped out at me during this film yesterday as far as thinking this was an amazing score. But it what can I say? It does fine. It's just not anything that really caught me, incredibly brought my attention in. But it's fine. It does what it needs to do. Cinematography, I think the film looks really good. I think this was shot really well. This is a movie. Go ahead and say this now because I was trying to decide when to interject this. This was a movie that early on in the film, maybe even the first quarter to halfway through, I think halfway's pushing it, maybe the first quarter of the film, I still wasn't sure what I was thinking while I was watching this because uh, things would happen and I'd be like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I think I like where this is going. And then something else would happen and I'm like, I don't know if we needed that. So I was really kind of on the fence through the first part of this film. I wasn't sure what exactly thought. There were some things that I liked, some things I wasn't sure about. And so I was kind of wrestling with that. And I think that's not just, I think that was a little bit of everything combined. Um, the story, I felt like I liked what they were doing, but I needed more before I was really sure of that. The way the film was shot, we get a lot of cuts and edits and things here and there. We get a lot of flashback scenes, a lot of the dream scenes, the way they look. I just couldn't decide what I thought about things. I was really wrestling with it for the first little bit of this movie. And part of me was like, okay, yeah, I really like this. And then something would happen and be like, oh, do I? Like, am I going to end up being disappointed with this movie? So for the first little bit, I was on the fence. I was struggling with this film. Um, and again, it was everything. It wasn't just like one thing about it. I just kept going back and forth. Like, I like where this is going? Do I like the way this looks? I couldn't decide early on in the movie, just to be honest with you. But overall, I think the film looks really good. I like the way it's shot. I love the setting for this movie, the whole blizzard thing that they set up. I wish we got more horror movies like that. I'm such a winter guy, and love the idea of snowstorms and blizzards and things like that. That if we could get more horror movies in those settings, I would think that was so cool. So I really like the excuse me. I've been under the weather for the last couple of days. I really like the setting for the film. Do like the way everything looks. And even though I was questioning it a little bit early, I really like the way this story plays out. This is an incredible story. So, yeah, spoiler alert. As we get on into this movie, I stopped being on the fence and really found myself plugging in and enjoying where they were going with this movie. It was just a little slow starting, I guess, for me. Cast for the film: Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, Jeremy Davies, Damien Bichir, I believe is how you say that. Sorry if I pronounce that wrong. And Ethan Hawke, of course, returning as the grabber. And what I'll say there about the cast and the characters, incredible cast. Everybody, once again, does an amazing job in this film. Ethan Hawke is great as the grabber. Mason Thames, again, an incredible job as Finney. And Madeline McGraw, excellent as Gwen. I really think this is an incredibly talented young actress and can't wait to see what else she does and brings to us. So, yeah, huge fan of the cast. Thought everyone did a great job, and I think the characters they do. I like the progression that we've gotten with these characters. Having been like 4 years after the events of the first film, I like the fact that at the end of that first movie, it kind of gives us the impression that now that Finney has escaped and the grabber's been killed, that everything is great. Life is happy now. His family's happy. The abuse from their father has stopped, and he's much more confident and settled in at school. And Gwen is better. Like, everybody's better. Life is great now, right? That's the impression we get at the end of the first film. And I mean, let's be honest. It's people that went through something like what they went through the first, life wouldn't be great. There would be things that they would still be dealing with. There would be trauma. There would be effects. So I like the fact that we get into this movie and not everything is perfect. Everyone is still struggling with certain aspects of life. I do appreciate that realism that I feel like this film brings. That life is not perfect now, and everyone is still struggling. And I think that helps us um, still relate to this group of characters, right? We see that. I mean, early in the film, we find out that Vinny is getting in fights at school and things like that because he's trying to have to prove himself, now, and that type of thing. So, and that he's still tormented by everything that happened. Gwen is still having different dreams and visions. She's still struggling. The dad is still trying to make amends and let everything be okay. So we see that there is still real life happening. Everything didn't just become a bed of roses. And I like that for this film. I like the fact that it does that. It goes in that direction, and I think it helps us, like I said, relate more to these characters. So I like this group of characters. All of the I'm trying to think of the right word for it. I'm just completely drawing a blank. But the secondary characters that come in, the trying Ernesto, who is Robin from the first one's brother, and seems to have a crush here on Gwen. Good character. The characters that they introduce us to out there at the lake, I like for the most part. We have Armando Mustang. There's another couple there that I'm drawing a blank on their names, but yeah, I mean, I like Armando. I like Mustang. The secondary characters are good. So I do like this group of characters. Cast all does an amazing job, which is a huge plus for this film as well. So let's get into the plot here a little bit. Let me get a drink, coffee. All right, let's get into this plot and walk through this a little bit. So again, we start off with spoilers ahead. I warned you, spoilers ahead. So we start off with finding out that Gwen is still having dreams. She's having dreams where she's seeing murders that took place at this Alpine Lake camp like 25 years prior to today's events. Um, and she's seeing, having dreams and these visions of these three boys that are, apparently have been killed. Their bodies seem to be floating underneath like an icy surface. They're scratching letters on the ice. We also know that Gwen gets a phone call from their deceased mother that she also was having these kind of dreams, and that's kind of the beginning, really the setup for this film. I like this. I like the fact that we're bringing because it was hinted at in the first film that the abilities, powers, whatever you want to call them, that Gwen has, that the mom also had in the first movie, and that had supposedly driven the mom insane and caused her to kill herself. So we're really, while that first film is primarily about Finney, I mean, there is the sub stories of Gwen and the other things that are going on. This film, much more about Gwen as the primary thing and what she's dealing with, and her having these same abilities that her mother had, and dealing with these things. I like that direction. I like the fact that we went there, and when we bring that back in, we didn't just let that go from the first film and it comes up to be a huge part of this movie. I like that as well. So again, I really like the way this story came together and played out. I like this opening. Um, I was questioning it for a little while. Again, like I said, the first little bit of the film, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm on board or if I'm not. I don't know if I like the way this looks or if I don't. But now, having been through, seeing the whole movie, I do think it's a great setup. And yeah, I'm on board now with this. So, um, and then once so they decide, Gwen and Finney decide to go to this youth camp. They find out that their mother worked there as well at this youth camp, and so they decide to go there to uh, work, but really more to investigate and try to figure out what was going on. Ernesto ends up going with them, and along the way, we do get some fun stuff here. Is Ernesto and Gwen and their relationship and what's going on, and Finney making comments about that, and so I mean, we do get some good moments. Just kind of mixed in a little bit here and there, some fun things, and maybe some humor, stuff like that here and there. But yeah, I like this setup. And once they get to this youth camp, and this blizzard now basically has trapped them inside, um, yeah, I really like the way this set up, and I love this blizzard aspect. Like I said earlier, the fact of being trapped in this camp and it being a blizzard around that's got you stuck there is a great setup for a horror movie. I really wish we had more winter horror like this, and maybe there's a lot out there that I just don't know about, but I think this is a perfect setting for some really good horror. So I like this, and then being there at this camp, and of course we do get the introductions to the other characters here, and like Armando and Mustang and some of them. And so again, um, once we got here and things started playing, is really when I stopped being on the fence, when I really got fully invested and was all in on what this movie was doing. Um, Arriving at this camp, Finney now gets a call. There's a old payphone out there that Armando tells him doesn't work, but Finney does receive a call on this payphone from the grabber, and basically the grabber is letting Finney know that he wants vengeance. Finney caused him to kill his brother. He was responsible for his death, and now he wants Finney to suffer as well, and he's coming after Gwen. And then we get an amazing scene there at this camp where Gwen is attacked. Um, yeah, being thrown around. And this film has such a, I'm a huge fan of A Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger. Um, this grabber coming back like this and attacking Gwen in her dreams, this is such a Nightmare on Elm Street vibe. I've been wanting something new from Freddy and the A Nightmare on Elm Street for a long time. I feel like this kind of gives us that a little bit. I mean, it's not Freddy, but at least this is similar. So that's what this movie really reminds me of, is kind of a Nightmare on Elm Street spin. That's not anything new. I'm sure other people have said the exact same thing, but I've stayed away from other reviews till I got a chance to watch this myself. So, but yeah, this movie definitely gives me that Freddy vibe, and I absolutely love that. So I think that's really cool. And this scene where she's being attacked and thrown around while everyone else is watching in horror, and then also trying to save her, is a fantastic scene. I absolutely love this scene. I will say that I think this movie um, takes it ups the ante where the scares are concerned. There are more scares. I feel like in this movie, there's a little bit more gore in this film than there is the first one. I think the scares are better in this film than in the first one. So definitely huge pluses there. But yeah, absolutely love this scene. The group is able to then save her. There is some funny interaction there because it's one of the couple that their names are completely leaving me, are pretty freaked out about what they've seen, and so there's some humor there going on. But The group comes up with the idea that what they have to do is they have to find these bodies. Um, they need to get rid of the grabber's power, the fact that he is back and has this power. If they can find these bodies and kind of set these spirits free, then that will take away the power of the grabber. They also learn that the grabber used to work at this camp, and he worked there along with um, Finney and Gwen's mother and with Armando. And so I like that little twist. I like the way that story brought together. I felt like it was clever. It wasn't just some uh, cheap, I thought it was a good original idea. It wasn't just something that they didn't put a lot of thought into and just tried to throw a sequel out to get money. I felt like this was well thought out, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I like the way the story goes, a few little twists that we get here and there. And so they just set out then to start trying to find these bodies, and they determined that the bodies are probably in this frozen lake that's there by the camp. As they go out then to begin their search, we get some good shots and some good scenes here. Um, their father also arrives. He has gotten a snowplow and managed to show up with them to check on them, and we get a great scene, emotional scene, where Gwen confronts both her father and Finney about them trying to bury their past, and so yeah, another a good scene there. But yeah, some good scenes there at the as they're trying to find these bodies. We also get a the big plot twist here coming. Again, I've already warned you, spoilers, where Gwen has a dream that basically her mother had also had dreams and visions about these boys being killed by the grabber, and that she just found out the truth. She found out who the grabber was and what he was doing, and that he ended up attacking and killing her. So they find out after all this time that their mother didn't really, go insane and kill herself. That the grabber killed her because she was onto him, and she confronts Gwen confronts Finney and the father with that. I like that twist. I like that addition to the story. I think that adds something to it, and was not something I saw coming. I also think it's I don't know. I think that's good for Gwen's character because, all this time there was this fear for her of, her mother went crazy and killed herself because of these abilities, and she's afraid that the same thing is going to happen to her. And now that we find out that the mother really didn't kill herself, it can give Gwen some strength. So I like that development in the story. And then we get some great scenes out there when they're on the ice and they're looking for this. There's a scene where the grabber attacks Gwen. She falls asleep, and the grabber attacks her. And again, very Nightmare on Elm Street like. The injuries that she sustains in these attacks starts to manifest in reality. Um, I think that's really cool. That all looks great. And finally, as we get to the finale where they're looking. I mean, the grabbers attacked different ones. He's attacked Armando. Gwen falls asleep again, and he tries attacking her. He also tries to kill Finney. Just a lot of great scenes taking place here on the ice. But in all of this, they do end up Gwen is able to discover these bodies, and as she helps get these bodies back to the surface, the grabber loses his power, and then Finney, Gwen, excuse me, and the spirits of these three boys are able to overcome the grabber, overpower him, and kill him and drag him down into this frozen lake. Great ending, great finale. I love. I just the movie's relatively new. I've only seen it once. I can't give you major details about it, but a lot of great shots in here, a lot of great scenes, fun ride, thrilling ride. I feel like, um, yeah, I really enjoyed the finale for this, and then at the very end of the movie, Gwen getting a phone call from her mother that her mother is proud of her. On what she's done, and also able to encourage Penny with a message from his friend Robin, who had passed. And so, yeah, great ending to this film. Possibly leaves it open for more. With the grabber being frozen now at the bottom of this lake, if his body gets brought up somehow, then maybe he gets revived, and like Freddy, when people get afraid again, he gets power back. Maybe that's where they go with this down in the future. But again, I don't feel like it's necessary. I feel like this is a great sequel. Um, I think I gave the first one, like I said, an 8 out of 10. I do think this movie is a little bit better. I thought about this all evening last night after I watched the film yesterday. I went to a haunted house last night and then came home and was thinking about this and trying to decide where I was going to rate this, and I just couldn't quite settle because I was really thinking an 8. I'm like, it's a really good movie. It's not perfect. It's not excellent. I mean, but it's a really good movie. Um, but I think this is actually a little better than the original. And so since I gave the original an 8, I'm going to say 8.5 for The Black Phone 2. I really like this film. I highly recommend people go and watch this. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think it takes the original and ups the ante just a little bit. A little more gore, a little more scares, great story, great performances, looks fantastic, love the setting. Yeah, this is a really, really good movie. So I definitely recommend people go out and check this one out. Um, I really enjoyed the experience of watching this one in the theater. So that's my take on Black Phone 2. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. If you've seen this movie, do you enjoy it more than the original? Do you think it's kind of on par? Do you think the original was better? Let me know what you think about Black Phone 2. I love the interaction and want to hear what people have to say about these films. That's part of the reason I do this. One, I just love talking about horror, but two is the interaction with the horror community. So I want to know your thoughts on Black Phone 2. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I really do appreciate that. Hit the like button on today's video and help me out there. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there: Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X. I have a letterbox. Just search Sean's Horror Corner. You should be able to find everything. I do try to follow back as much as possible. A couple of great episodes still coming up this week. Tomorrow, I will be on with Ken and Ashley from Sledgehammer Horror. We did have some audio difficulties during that video. Uh, Tried to fix it the best I could. Had some help from some friends working on it, trying to make it a little bit better. But unfortunately, it's just not the best audio for that episode. I'll let you know ahead of time, and I hate that with that being Ken and Ashley's first time on, and it just not sounding great. But episode's still up. Will still be up tomorrow and ready for everybody to see. And then later in the week, an episode on Candyman with my friend Brendan from Our Life in Horror. A lot of fun doing that episode. So yeah, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss those episodes. Child's Play and Candyman coming up this week. Thank you so much for watching today. Again, like, subscribe, follow, do all the things, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much.